Welcome to Guerilla Sports Daily. I'm your host for this fabulous Friday, Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to Guerilla Sports Daily. I am your host for this morning, Liv Moods. I'm going to go on Twitter really quick, you guys. I'm going to say, come spend your morning with me. I know we already have Cedric here. Cedric, good morning. Happy Friday. Thank you for being here. You're always one of the first ones. I appreciate your enthusiasm. You're always tuning in to the Nuggets stuff, the football stuff, and also the Guerilla Sports Daily. So thank you so much for the support and the love. I'm just going to let everybody know we are live, and then we are going to get into some conversations. We're going to talk a little bit about Denver sports, and then, of course, we're going to spend the bulk of this Guerilla Sports Daily today talking about the NFL playoffs because they are here. Just last night, college football playoffs. Tonight, some more college football playoffs, and then this weekend, all the way through Monday, is the start of the NFL playoffs, and a very special Denver team will be making their playoff debut after, an 8-season drought. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening over here in the Mile High City. Let's start with the team that I decided to rock today, which is the Colorado Avalanche. I actually love this jacket. It was gifted to me for my birthday last year, accompanied by 2 Colorado Avs tickets, and I got to go watch a really fun game between, I don't even remember who they played, but it was super fun. If you guys have never been to an NHL game, although I don't watch the NHL a ton, maybe some of the most fun sports games to go to. So had a lot of fun wearing their jacket. And just last night, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they had a pretty dominating win, this Colorado Avs team. And it was against a conference opponent who is second in their division, the Minnesota Wild, second in their division. I believe the Avalanche are fourth in that same division. They won just last night 6-1 on the road. So very convincing win for the Avs. And it looks like in the next few weeks, what we can expect for this team. Like I said, big win on the road against the Wild, 6-1. They are on the road again tomorrow playing the Jets. Then they're back at home on Tuesday playing the Rangers. And after that, they've got, it looks like, 5 home games in a row. So if you are an Avs fan and you're trying to go watch them play, you've got some really great opportunities coming up in the month of January. So make sure you take advantage of those. Very convincing win. And we know in all sports, conference wins, division wins, they matter a lot. Winning your division, winning your conference really sets you apart from a lot of people, makes your playoff run a little bit easier. So the more wins that they can get in this fashion, the better off they will be. Shout out to our Colorado Avalanche team. Let's talk a little bit of Denver Nuggets here at the top of the show as well. Not going to spend a ton of time on this because tonight I will do a post-game live show from my home studio, breaking down the game. Hopefully it's all things positive, but the Denver Nuggets take on the Brooklyn Nets tonight, and they are actually at home again. I mentioned in my shows many, many times, this is a very important month for the Denver Nuggets. They've got 17 total games, 8 are at home, 9 are on the road, and all but one opponent, I believe, is above 500. The Nets are not above 500. So this should be a winnable game for this Denver Nuggets team. But we also know that the Nets took this Nuggets team into overtime earlier this season. I think Nikola Jokic is still questionable tonight. He's been battling illness all week. If he misses tonight, that will be his 3rd game that he has missed in a row. But the Nuggets did prove they don't need Nikola Jokic to win. They got to win themselves. Just the other night against the Clippers, that was Wednesday night. And the night before that, they actually had a very hard-fought game against the Boston Celtics. They did not come out on top in that one, but they did nonetheless look very, very good without Nikola Jokic. I know they lost. There's no such thing as moral victories in sports, but as a fan, it felt like a moral victory given the fact this Nuggets team has struggled quite a bit this season. There's been a lot of things that have been concerning as Nuggets fans. We've been waiting for them to just find their rhythm, find their groove. And I think in the month of January, this month, is going to be very important for them to do that, solidify things, get the ball rolling, and show people who they are and whether or not they're a contender or a pretender. This is where you really start to see these NBA teams solidifying their identity. So hopefully the Nuggets can do that in a positive way, with or without Nikola Jokic tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. Our Denver Broncos, we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about this on the daily because in just less than an hour, actually, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, I will be joined by none other than Nate Jackson, and we will be breaking down the Denver Broncos, who play in a playoff game on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. Listen, we all know Josh Allen is playing like an MVP. He might just win MVP. And we can talk about that in just a second because I don't believe he should win MVP. However, I do think he will win MVP. This Bills team has looked exceptional. They actually started off their season looking really great, and I was waiting for the fall off. We never got that because, like I said, Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level, and this Bills team is exceptional. The Broncos are going to have to do a lot of things right in order to compete with them. The Bills are nearly 9-point favorites heading into this playoff game this weekend against the Broncos. So Vegas doesn't really think that it's going to be close. Vegas thinks that the Bills will win convincingly and comfortably, and they just might. But I also know that this Broncos team has a championship level defense, and their offense is finding momentum and rhythm at the right time. So I think there's a lot of upside here for this Broncos team. They just have to show up and do their job, right? It's that simple. I know it seems silly to say that, but sometimes it is that simple. You just got to show up and play the game you know how to play. Bo Nix has been a serious contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year this year. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is running with that award right now, and rightfully so. He has had an exceptional season himself with the Commanders, who are also a playoff team. We've got 2 rookie quarterbacks playing in the playoffs this year, and you just have to be very excited about that. There's a lot of young talent. I kind of make jokes about the aging Aaron Rodgers. And while I make those jokes mostly because I cannot stand Aaron Rodgers, he drives me up a wall most days, I do think there's a lot of value in these young guys. There's a lot of young talent. We're seeing 19-year-olds in college that if one and done were a thing, they probably would be. There is a lot of young talent on the collegiate level that is translating very, very well in the pros. So it's cool to see 2 rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs, one of which is a Denver Bronco quarterback, and that is a really exciting thing. So we are going to deep dive into the Denver Broncos in about 50 minutes with Nate Jackson on a more, serious level. We may talk some bets as it pertains to this matchup and just get into the nitty-gritties of what we can expect in this matchup against the Bills. So we'll wait on all of that. For now, let's just talk NFL playoffs as a whole. Let's talk through some of the matchups that we have this weekend because there are quite a few. And this has been such an interesting season because teams you may be expected to be in the playoffs, the Broncos being in the playoffs, eliminated a team like the Bengals, who has the best offense in the league, Joe Burrow. It would be his award. MVP would be Joe Burrow's award if the Bengals had this much better of a record this season. We wouldn't even be talking about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, which is crazy to think about. That just shows the level in which the quarterbacks are playing this season. The fact that Joe Burrow would have just easily had this award had he had a better record with the Bengals is crazy, considering how great Lamar Jackson is also playing and how great Josh Allen is also playing. So through the air, to me, Joe Burrow has looked better than both Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Josh Allen has the help of James Cook, who has had an exceptional season, and Lamar Jackson has the help of Derrick Henry on the ground. Doesn't take away from what they've done. They're both also very mobile. They can get in the end zone themselves. They have rushing yards. They can compete with some of the running backs in the league this season. So that, them having James Cook and Derrick Henry shouldn't take away from what they've done this season, and it doesn't take away from what they've done. But Joe Burrow, we know he struggled with the strong O-line. He gets sacked a lot. He is finding Jamar Chase very easily. He's finding guys like T. Higgins very easily. He is playing at an MVP level, and so is Jamar Chase. So the fact that this Bengals team is not a playoff team is shocking in so many ways, but it just shows those division games matter. I mentioned that at the top of this show. Their division was exceptionally unique this year. I'm not sure many people thought that the Steelers would be in that number 1 spot for as long as they were this season. Of course, the Ravens became more competitive late, and the Steelers kind of started to get exposed towards the end of the regular season. But nonetheless, they're still a playoff team. They're still a really good team. And that being said, kind of leads me to one of the matchups that I think we all need to keep our eyes out on, and that is the evening game tomorrow. And it is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the best, if not the best. I know you're going to say Andy Reid still exists. I get that. But Mike Tomlin's ability to do more with less is exceptional. And anybody that truly watches football knows Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the NFL. Russell Wilson left the Denver Broncos and went to Pittsburgh and ended up having a really great year. Yes, this Steelers team had a bit of a fall off towards the end of the regular season, but every team has ups and downs. And the Steelers, unfortunately, lost their momentum, I think, when it mattered most. So as much as I love this Steelers team, I don't feel entirely confident in their ability to compete with a team like the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. It seems like Russell Wilson and his offense are not having that seamless chemistry anymore. There's something going on in the locker room over in Pittsburgh. Does make you wonder what's happening behind the scenes there, because it does feel like they're not on the same page anymore. Even to the defense. The defense does not seem like they're on the same page. And that is a defense that has been playing at a championship level most of the season, especially with TJ Watt, who was just under Pat Surtain to win Defensive Player of the Year when you're looking at it from an odds perspective. So all that to say, as much as I love a division matchup, and I do think the game will remain close, Mike Tomlin has a habit of that. You stick him in a division matchup in a primetime spot in a back against the wall situation, and he's a good enough coach to keep his team alive, keep his team competitive. So I do think they will do that. I do think it's a closer game. I'm not entirely sure, depending on where you're shopping for lines, I'm not sure where you can grab that line at. But I do think this is going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a very fun game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 10-7, 5-4 on the road. The Baltimore Ravens playing at home are 12-5, 6-2 at home. If you want to talk against the spread, that is where things get interesting, because I'm actually not even sure what the line is. I'm going to pull up on my phone right now. If you guys are in the comments section, you can go ahead and let me know what the line is for that game. I'm checking at the moment. Let's see how much the Ravens are favored by, because I do know for a fact they will be favored 9.5. I'm sorry. I can't see Mike Tomlin letting them go outside like that. I'm just sorry. I just can't see it. I really don't see it. I do not think that Mike Tomlin is the type of coach that will allow this game to get out of control. He has done far more with far less. This is actually a really great football team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do think they started to have a little bit of issues there towards the end of their season. And, I think some of that is culture, and I'm not sure who to blame for that. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room, but it does seem like they had some very interesting, clashes of personalities, maybe both offensively and defensively. So I don't know that we can really confidently say Russell Wilson, yet again, ruining a locker room, because it is also the defense. The defense doesn't seem like it's on the same page either. So I'm not really sure what the cause for that is, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them against a really great team in the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I want to tell you, Baltimore, against division opponents this season, they're 3-3 against the spread. They're not a perfect team when it comes to these division games. We know division games matter. They really, really do. And Baltimore only 3-3. Cincinnati also 3-3 in the AFC North. Now, when we're looking at Pittsburgh, they're 4-2 against the spread in division games. And again, I think you can credit Mike Tomlin and his abilities as a coach for most of that. So I just have a hard time believing 9.5 is a lot of points in the NFL. These are still NFL players. This is still a high-level team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've made it this far, and they've done a really great job at what they've been, against a really great division. AFC North is highly competitive, and they did a great job all season long. So I don't know. I'm not buying the whole 9.5 points thing. If I'm a betting woman, which I am, especially this weekend, I'm not taking the Ravens minus 9.5. I know that they absolutely can do it. But I just like Mike Tomlin too much for that. I think I've said this on the show before. I will blindly tail Mike Tomlin 9 out of 10 times. I don't even need to know who they're playing, what the spread is. I'm going to tail him. I like Mike Tomlin a lot, and I think he's a very successful coach, and I think he will have this team over prepared to face the Ravens, because they know the Ravens are a tough beat. So that's the first game I wanted to discuss. The next one, Chargers-Texans. The Chargers are sneaky. That might be a sleeper, dark horse Super Bowl team. I mean, that's really how I feel about this team. And right now they're favored by 3. I would take that and I would run with it. As much as I love the Texans, they have been riddled with injuries all season long. CJ Stroud has had a bit of a sophomore slump. And I think they're a great team. I think they're also very well coached. But I think the Chargers have just been exceptional. Their run defense is exceptional. Justin Herbert is exceptional. They finally got a good coach. And I think the Chargers are showing the value of good coaches in the NFL. Okay. For so long under Staley, it felt like it was just wasted years going by for Justin Herbert, who is a true quarterback talent in this league. And then you get a good coach in Harbaugh, and they just find their rhythm. They find their groove. So I like the Chargers in that one. I think the Chargers go ahead and advance. And I do think if you're looking for a sleeper team in the NFL for this play, as these playoffs begin, the Chargers are definitely one of them. We're going to spend some time talking Denver Broncos, Buffalo Bills in just a bit with Nate Jackson. So I'm not going to get into that right this second. The Packers versus the Eagles. Listen, I love me some Packers. I really do. They are also a team that I think can be exceptionally sneaky. You have to remember, last year in the playoffs, Jordan Love, I believe it was a 106.8 passer rating last year in the playoffs. If he has that again, he can compete with this Eagles team. Now, can they compete with Saquon Barkley? No. The answer is no. Saquon Barkley is playing out of his mind right now, and I expect him to do that all throughout this playoffs. I believe, and I've said this about the Broncos, we're going to talk about this with Nate Jackson as well in just a bit. Run game matters, especially in the playoffs. You're not going to get perfect performances from your quarterbacks. You're just not. They are not robots. They cannot be perfect at all times. Having a reliable run game is what really pushes teams all the way. And the Eagles have that in Saquon Barkley. Getting Saquon Barkley might have been the best thing the Eagles could have done for themselves. So I am loving the Eagles. As much as I love the Packers, I just don't see them beating the Eagles with Saquon Barkley on their side. So that's that game. Now, I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is a dog. And honestly, Baker Mayfield is one of those quarterbacks that when he's on the field, anything goes. Any game is winnable when you've got a quarterback that has that dog in him, and that is Baker Mayfield. That being said, I love the Commanders so much. I love the Commanders so much. So to me, this is a very exciting game, and I actually have the Commanders as kind of my sleeper team in the playoffs because I think when you have a quarterback, rookie or not, playing at the level that Jaden Daniels is playing with, the athleticism that he shows, his ability to use his legs, his ability to be an X factor for the Commanders is huge. So I think I'm Team Commanders here, not for any other reason besides I really just love Jaden Daniels and would love to see him go all the way. But this, to me, is going to be a high-scoring affair. There's going to be a lot of points on the board. Baker Mayfield is going to be dealing it through the air. Jaden Daniels, the same, but also using his legs as well. I think this is going to be a very exciting matchup. This might be the most exciting matchup of the weekend. Mark my words. I think that this is going to be one that everybody's going to be watching because it's going to be a lot of offense, and it's just going to be fun to watch. Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, those are two exceptional quarterbacks that have had exceptional seasons. I'm very excited for this game. Let's talk Monday Night Football. Obviously, we still have some time before that, but the last playoff game of this weekend for the wild card weekend here is Vikings-Rams. Now, there is an element of this game that we have to deeply consider, and that is that it's been moved to Arizona due to the wildfires in Los Angeles right now. The Rams have probably been dealing with a lot personally, and that is something you have to consider if you are a betting person. You know, there's been a lot of distractions happening for Los Angeles that Minnesota just hasn't had to deal with right now. Now, that being said, these athletes are trained and very, very experienced in having to set aside their personal problems and show up and do their job, but that doesn't make it easy. In this game, you've got the Vikings as a 3-point favorite. The Vikings have been playing so well. It is crazy to me that a 14-3 team can be a wild card team. But again, it shows the value of those division games. This is going to be an exceptionally fun game. But if we're being fully transparent here, as much as I love the Rams and Stafford, I trust Stafford more than anyone really in the playoffs. We know what he's capable of, and he is a phenomenal quarterback. And he's been there and he's done that. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes. He knows the type of discipline that the playoffs require. So I don't worry about him being able to keep up in the playoffs at all, especially when you've got guys like Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Williams. They have a lot of talent on that roster. So I think it's going to be a great game. However, when I look at the two divisions that these two teams play in, the Rams were in a division this year that just simply was not super competitive. Down to the final games in the season, it was anybody's division. If they, won the right games, it was crazy. It just felt like it was I don't know, it just didn't feel like an entirely competitive division from the aspect of it being high level. It was competitive between the teams because between the Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, and who am I missing? Seahawks. It was anybody's division there for a while because they all were pretty evenly matched. That being said, their division didn't feel entirely competitive as what the Vikings had to deal with, facing teams like the Packers, teams like the Lions. I just think this Vikings team is a little more battle tested, and they have stuck with it all season long. Sam Darnold playing at a very high level. So I'm going to give the edge here to Minnesota. I really am, which is very hard for me knowing that Matthew Stafford is on the other side of the field dealing the ball because I trust him a lot in a playoff position. I really, really do. So again, another game I think is going to be very, very fun. And if I'm a betting woman, I'm taking the over in that one. I think it is highly, highly packed with offense and touchdowns and you name it. Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown, give me that. Williams, anytime touchdown, give me that. There's a lot in this game where I just think it's going to be high level, lots of offense, maybe not as much defense. When you've got Sam Darnold playing the way he is, and then you've got Matthew Stafford as an underdog in a playoff spot, I expect a lot of points on the board. So that's kind of where I feel where I'm leaning right now with that game. Not sure the side. I do think I know the side. I think it's Minnesota, guys. I think it's Minnesota. If I'm just rambling off my picks on who I think is winning this weekend, it's Chargers, it's Ravens, hot take Broncos, ha, 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 I don't care what you think, Eagles, Commanders at the final seconds, and Vikings. I'm going with that. Let me know in the comment section if you disagree, if you agree, if you have a hot take. My sleeper team for the playoffs is going to be the Commanders. I just can't fade. I can't fade Jaden Daniels right now. Until I'm given a reason to fade him, I won't be fading him. That's just the fact. And NFC, I think the Eagles come out of the NFC this year. I think out of the AFC, we're going to get the Ravens. I think we have a Ravens-Eagles Super Bowl, and you've got Lamar Jackson as the MVP, win or lose. Oh, yeah, I said it. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And we are about to enter a really fun freaking time of the year. It's the NFL playoffs. Before we know it, we're going to be at the Super Bowl, getting you guys content, and the season will be over. It's truly happening very, very fast. Feels like just yesterday we were watching preseason games and trying to figure out what Bo Nix was going to be able to do for this Broncos team this year, and he has done everything we've needed him to do. No matter how this weekend ends or begins for the Broncos, this season was surpassed expectations and was something we should all be very proud of and excited for the future. So we will get into all things Denver Broncos, Buffalo Bills talk in just a bit, about 30 minutes. Nate Jackson joining me right here at the desk, and we're talking all things Denver Broncos, so make sure you're tuning in. This has been another Guerilla Sports Daily. I'm your host, Liv Moods. Happy Friday. And this was also presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you save some money, basically, by either lowering your interest rate or lowering your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you in just a bit for some football talk, and then again tonight for a Nuggets post-game show. Much love to you all. Happy Friday, and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye.